Was this bit of nostalgia enough for you to really enjoy the past 2 months here for the Wrath of Khan arc? Well, today, of course, we're going to do our video where we grade it based on what you have to say. As always, number one, thank you for being part of this community. And number two, remember that your voice matters. And for it to matter, you've got to do the survey, you've got to fill it in, and get your lines to the same so that we can talk to game design, live ops, community management about your experience the past 2 months. We've seen great things over the past year in terms of game improvements, but let's go jump into it and talk about what was good, what was bad, what maybe was in the middle.
Fancy intro music, yeah! Woohoo!
So for those of you maybe new who aren't familiar with how we do our survey system, I'll give you my answers toward the end of this video. So skip about 8 minutes ahead and you'll find that. But as far as the basics, not too hard. Definitely looking for all of our wonderful lower levels to do this as well. Just simply click in where you're at, so your ops level and what region you're in, hit next, and we're going to get started with the officers here. And this was a little bit tricky. So in this, we have a couple different ways that you're going to differentiate. So in the back of your screen, you're going to see the officer menu itself. Well, obviously we had 5 new officers this month, 3 of them epic. We had Wrath of Khan, Scotty, Joaquin, Savick, Carol, and McCoy. Now, in terms of sourcing, you have McCoy and Carol in the event store here in the second month. And then you have probably one of the best sourcings for an epic maybe ever released in Joaquin. However, there's not a long-term sourcing currently for any of them. However, of course, more of that will be coming down the road. So you simply vote in 2 different areas. Number one, what did you think about the officer's abilities? That's the A through F ranking, a traditional grade ranking like in school. And then what did you think of the sourcing itself? And whether you liked or disliked, just sit there and make it known. And you have an option to say what you specifically like about the officers. Again, I think thematically, everybody can agree that Wrath of Khan probably fell a little bit short. It was only 2 months, and there's a lot of things that we didn't feel like came through of what is the most iconic, and for most people, the most loved Star Trek video of all time. I mean, just Wrath of Khan. It's submarine warfare in space. Who doesn't love it? It's a man's, continual struggle with his own mortality. I mean, I experienced that now. Great video, great movie, but regardless of that, how does this affect your gameplay? Give your thoughts, and we're not going to spend too much time harping, but just roll through the next thing. So then we get into the features of this run, and there's a lot of stuff to cover in this section. So we obviously have the new hijacked hostiles, the new augment exiles that we have to go after out here. And of course, if you have a Reliant, you're gonna be auto farming quite a bit because the most important value that you can get is actually these champion tokens. I know a lot of people probably don't see that yet, but long term, that's where the real value is. So you grade the features as a whole. That's the only part that's required in this if you don't want to do the individuals. However, just what did you experience in the past 2 months? Did you like overall? And then I, of course, went through each subset so that you can know what you're actually grading here. So for example, the Augment Exiles and the Loot Goblins. Did you like that pattern? For me personally, I dislike that you had different currencies for each level. You had 4 separate currencies: common, uncommon, rare, and epic. But that doesn't mean I thought that it was wrong as a whole. So again, I'm just going to do it generically so that y'all can pick your grades. Mine are at the end of the video. But you had the Augment Faction Store update, which many people seem to receive quite well. You had the Priority 1 Away Teams update. You had the Fleet Commander Khan come through. You had new Chaos Tech come through as well. Then you had the quality of life improvements. And I listed the most important key ones, but there was actually more than this. So keep that in mind. You had the Devore, Fisha, Franklin, and Franklin A added in to the IA Mastery System. 4 ships, 2-ish loops. That was nice. More hangar slots were added. The away teams refresh returned to the game. And then you had bulk building upgrades and auto assign away teams. All of these were quality of life additions added to the game. You need to provide your input on whether they were good and productive and whether those helped make your gameplay better. And while there definitely was a little bit more of a convoluted loop, we know that this particular game designer does that. Also has the history of having some of the designs that people love the most long term, like, DS9 and doing things like the Mirror Tree and even little other projects that maybe you didn't know they worked on. Long term, it's going to be valuable. Short term, definitely a long term buy-in to get into it. But again, I'm gonna save my opinion for the rest of the video, so we're just gonna keep it moving. You only have to require answer those that have the little red dot next to them. Ship grading. Here we are. The Reliant itself. Did you get it? Number one. If you didn't, don't worry. Then we're going to start with sourcing. The main thing we grade these by is sourcing. So it has a standard 100-day sourcing. Now, whether that's good or not, I would love for you to chime in. So for example, you can come in here and rate it. If you don't believe that that is good, if you think 100 days is, you like that it's free to play, but you don't think that's good, then you could give it a 3. If you think that that's fantastic, that we have consistent free to play sourcing, give it a 5. Whatever you feel is the value. And then if you actually got the ship, I want you to let me know what you think about it, that you have it. And then, of course, you can leave a comment down in the comment section below. So really going to be looking into these and then providing this type of feedback to the overlords because another ship is coming here quite soonish. So we'd love to get some changes based on your feedback. So make sure you put it in and get your alliance mates and server mates to do this. Next up, we have the event calendar. This one, woo, lots of thoughts, lots of emotions on this one. But this is unequivocally the best event store many of you have ever played because many of you have not been around that long. Look, that's just the nature of this game. Many of you have only been around maybe a year or two. You weren't here when the greatest event store ever dropped back in 2022. This is monetarily, numerically, etc., the second best event store ever. And I think Scopely deserves praise for that. And that doesn't mean that you like the entire event calendar. For example, I'll put up on the screen in the back some of the events maybe weren't that great. Shout out to the Challenges event and the Cons Champions event. Were not easy for many players, and that should not be understated. However, the event store itself definitely is one of the ones that is going to stand out in players' memories for allowing players to get a lot done, catch up. It's a true catch-up mechanic, which seems to be rare in the world of STFC today. So for the calendar, you're grading all the events. That means some of the events that you had in month 1 that you had to kill so many hostiles. Well, keep that in. Also mix that in with the event store. This is why we separate things. So let me know what you think. And I'll be honest, man, it's tough to not already give you a hint of what my thoughts are. Tremendous amount on the event store currency. Let me know what you think about the materials and resources for your ops level and whether you thought that the additions to the event store were good because they've been adding things in the beginnings of the event stores from the very jump. So you let me know on that. Moving into communication, that's just simply based on how well do you feel like Scopely communicated between bugs, errors, news, updates, and just letting you know things that are happening, including events. Do you feel like they used this enough? Do you feel like they used Discord enough? Even the other social medias like Facebook, X, etc. Well, you let me know based on the comment section right there. Last but certainly not least, stability with the new bug form. And I want to really encourage you to use the list the top 2 most reoccurring bugs that impacted your game. Just please remember, don't just type in lag. I can't do anything with that. Be specific. If there was lag, what was lag in? Was it lag in PvP arenas? Was it lag in alliance tournaments and refreshes? Just be very specific about what problems are affecting you and go from there. Woof, man. People should check out the new podcast episode on RevDeuce.com. All right, so if you've made it this far, thank you so much. Go ahead and like the video. Greatly appreciate you. And as I have said before, this only has power if you participate in answers. So make sure that you are sharing this with your alliance mates. If we can get you to give it to 5 people, that's going to give us the numbers that we need. Yes, if you're watching this, give us the numbers we need to really make this have the impact we want it to have. So let's start with what I think. I'm going to be grading it based on the account that used the Reliant. So keep that in mind, but I'll also mix in my thoughts based on playing it as a G5 and even logging into G6 accounts. So officer grading, I thought the officers were really good. However, I do not like the sourcing except for Joaquin. I'm very interested to see what long-term sourcing looks like, but I can't give them a good grade based on the future. So first of all, I'm going to put bad sourcing for now. However, do I feel like this is a good officer set? Very good below deck abilities will help benefit players for a long time in both PvP and PvE. And I love that there's a mix there. And I think that value is seen by most people who've managed to pick them up. As far as the features themselves, I think overall it was a very good month. Most of my negativity is going to be directed more towards the event section of things, just FYI. I feel like the features are good. The Augment Exiles, like I said, I dislike the multi-currency system, but the amount of sheer rewards you're getting is quite nice. Remember, we're getting a lot of items that used to be pay only, free dock, right? We're getting the Tantalus Field. We're getting the Quantum Slipstream Drive. Lots of things that previously were locked completely behind paywalls have now been made free to play via the faction. And those currencies are how you're going to acquire those things. So because of that, I kind of have a positive view on it. The Glavin, which is huge for isolated damage update. Need isolated damage. So because of that, I think the Augment Store is one of the best updates we've ever had for a faction, and I also love the Priority 1 system. Like I said, it takes a while to jump into it, but there are a couple of cool tips and tricks that once you get done, you're going to find the priority ones aren't that difficult. Getting, for example, to the rares, if you're G4, that's the sweet spot for getting the currency payout there. Not to mention the Khan favor in the away team research area is going to help give you a daily run of goodies. So just once you get those, that's the key. You just got to get there first and work towards them. Then you have Fleet Commander Khan Noonien Singh, which I'm going to give a B because he's a great PvP guy. Not perfect, but very good. Not better overall than Lorca, but still a good addition to the game. The Chaos Tech I felt fell really flat. I mean, for example, the Genesis device to fight the Borg, I'm sorry. Most of these things aren't even needed, in my opinion, if a player is playing well and is solid at their level. Quality of life improvements I thought were fantastic. Really, the only features I feel like fell short were the Chaos Tech, and I can't say they're an F because they work, just don't really feel like they're any good. The ship itself, sourcing, the more I talk to you players, the more I understand where you're coming from. And yeah, 100 days is nice and it's consistent. But that doesn't mean it's great sourcing. So I'm going to give it a 4. And that still might be being very generous. And feel free to flame me in the comments if I'm being too generous about sourcing. I simply have come from a time where we didn't get that at all, right? There was no consistency. So I tend to appreciate it maybe more than I should. But let me know what you think. As far as the ship itself, solid B. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. It has a great long-term value based on what it can help you do in this faction, but it is a one-trick pony, and you can make an argue for lowering that, but it does what it's supposed to do quite well. It's based on long-term usage. All right, next up into the event calendar. I'll be honest, man. Even though the event store was fantastic, I feel like most of the events over 2 full months were much more negative than they were positive. That's really what caused most of the angst, ire, problem, disgruntlement. Is that even a word? Who cares? The problem was the events really irritated a lot of people. Now, that said, I feel like the event store, again, tremendous amount. The numbers speak for themselves. Over 500,000 for free to play, the most that's happened in 3 years. Absolutely fantastic. Hopefully that continues. And again, the choice system for battle passes is continuing to pay out lots of materials and resources based on exactly what you need. And that's fantastic. Also, the event store did a great job at finally adding in things people wanted. Primes. We're at the point where we got officers, primes, we've got freebies that are usually paid, like Ferengi whips. There's just so many good things in there. Plus the specialty ships now are being consistently added in, and I like that as well. Communication, I feel like was, again, middle of the road. Some days that you would have really good communication. Some days where you should have said something 2 days ago, but you waited until the last minute to say it, which is kind of par for the course for the game. Then last but certainly not least, stability. I felt like stability over the past 2 months was with some individual instances being bad. Again, I can only grade that based on personal experience. If yours was worse, make sure you put that it was worse here and let me know what made it worse. And there we have it. There's Rev's thoughts. Overall, I feel like Wrath of Khan as a theme fell flat, but there's a lot of good stuff that was added for long-term play. But at the same time, still a very relevant argument to be made that so much getting added is still so much getting added in a game of so much that's there already. Live long and plunder. Stay safe for those Space Cowboys. Deuces, that's me. Catch you in the next one. And we're out. That's it. That's all I got. Do the survey.